And your new location today, but great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. How have you been?
Good, good, good. And we're gonna have a good conversation. And soon the book will be out. That's all I have to say. But
That's
we're
all we
gonna talk.
can say. The artist.
No, no, the artist formerly known as your artist is dead. That's all I have to say. And instead of formerly known, she was formerly known as an artist. She's no longer an artist.
No longer, no
So,
longer.
so our topic today is when society breaks the rules, how historical scandals change love and marriage. So, what kinds of societal rules govern love, courtship, and marriage during the Regency and Georgian era?
Well, they had certain protocols that the upper echelons had to or were supposed to adhere to. There were the debutantes had to be introduced at court. That was required before they could go to all these balls and be introduced. They called it the marriage mart, where they would be introduced to these eligible lords in society. If they broke those kind of rules, then they would be ostracized and or what they called cut, which would mean that people would literally avoid them, walk across the street away from them. They also did what they called bans, BANNS. And when a woman was proposed to or betrothed to a man, then they would read these bands in church. So if I went to the Presbyterian and you went to the Methodist, for example, they would read those bands in both churches. And the reason for that would be in order to let everybody know so that if there was a discrepancy of any kind, if someone else came forward and said, well, wait a minute, I proposed to her and she accepted me, those kind of things. Also, there was a thing called the Marriage Act of 1753. And the churches enacted that because so many people were going to Gretna Green and getting married that there was taking money away from the churches. So there were all kinds of nefarious reasons why they did what they did. Wasn't always just
It was
crazy.
never just love and marriage.
Right, right.
Can you share one or two of the most famous romantic scandals from this period and why they
Oh,
shocked
yes,
society?
yes, I can. Yes, I can. There was a Lady Seymour. She was a 17-year-old heiress, and she married Sir Richard Worsley. And it was a very unhappy marriage. And so they became good friends with, uh, he was a militia captain, and he was a nice looking, his name was George Bissett, yeah. And he was a good looking man, and he came around the family quite a bit. And so they ran off together, the young 17-year-old wife and the militia captain. They took off. And George, the betrayed husband, filed in court something they called a criminal conversation, which is adultery. A criminal conversation. I think they were doing a little more than conversing, but that's what they called it. Well, come to find out, when they took him to court, George, the husband, had been promoting this relationship. He even let um, what's his name? Richard. Richard was the husband's name. I'm sorry. He even let George, the boyfriend, go in and watch the woman take a bath.
Oh
So
boy.
it caused this huge scandal. People showed up and were waiting in line to get into court to watch the proceeds, but it was very scandalous. And then another one, I don't think was as big a scandal, but they certainly did at a time. And that's where King George III, his brother, the Duke of Cumberland and Strathern, he married a woman, a widow. And King George III was furious.
Mhm.
He was so enraged because he felt like the fact that his brother married a commoner would denigrate the monarchy. And so he enacted this Royal Marriage Act of, when was it? 1771, which required anyone related to royalty to have to petition the king in order to have permission to marry. And he tried really hard to dissolve the marriage. And there was another big deal where everybody was coming into court and watching all this huge fiasco. But they got to stay married. It's just the king never invited them back to court.
So how did public opinion and gossip shape the outcomes of these relationships?
It would depend on how high or how low you were on the ladder. If you were a viscount or a baron and you married someone without approval, or married a commoner, that could certainly impede. But the higher up you were, the less likely you were. If you were a duke, which is one step up from, or one step down from being a prince, if you were a duke and you had an illicit affair that you got caught, or you married a woman that was outside of your social standing, you might get ostracized for a while, but it really wouldn't affect you like it would if you were a baron.
Hmm.
So, where you stood had a lot to do with how you were treated by society.
And that's a normal thing, right?
Right. Very. Oh, yeah. I mean, even today, rich people get away with all kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff gets buried under the rug. You and I can't get away with anything.
Nope. But yeah, but if you have power, you can.
Right. Absolutely. Power and money.
Exactly. The power and money. So your book will be out soon. I'm coming up with a game plan to get this moving. And you can
We've
go,
been trying, haven't we?
yes, go
Yes.
to minavalentine.com. You can pick up the book today. It's available in all finer bookstores, and appreciate it, Mina. And we'll talk soon.
Okay, honey. You have a good weekend.
All right, you too. All right.